Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation series. I am excited to have a very special guest here with me today, someone who has many titles, author, social influencer, youth advocate, entrepreneur. Erica Austin is here with us today, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and get us kicked off.
Awesome. Well, firstly, thanks so much, Danielle, for having me on the conversation series. I'm super excited to share with your audience today. I'm Erica Austin, as Danielle just noted. My life's work is helping young people really recognize the potential they have to use their gifts and their talents in order to aspire to this level of greatness. And all about youth empowerment. I've dedicated over majority of my life doing this work that I find to be very important. And I'm an author. So I wrote my first book at the age of 9, published during that time period, and had quite a bit of success. I'm happy to share my journey today.
Yeah, awesome. I'm so excited. And you're an Atlanta native, correct?
I am Southern Belle.
I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I have family who's down in Atlanta. So I love Georgia. I'm a big fan of Georgia. You just hit on it. You published your first book at the age of 9. Can you age of 9, ladies and gentlemen? Can you tell everybody what that book was and kind of how that all happened?
Sure thing. It's a common question, believe me. So, my first book, What Every Child Should Know About Prayer, from a child's point of view, I wrote and published at the age of 9. Long story short, I was inspired by a film. Some of your audience may be old enough to recall a film called Harriet the Spy. It was a film about a young girl who loved to spy on people and write her findings and discoveries. And I was more so intrigued by her passion for writing. Her passion really resonated with me. I was at a point in my life where I was kind of looking for, like, what's my passion? What am I excited about, as a kid? So on the way home from the movie, I turned to my father and said, Dad, I think I want to write a book. And he looked at me the way I think most parents will look at their 9-year-old who would make, such a big, declaration. And he turned to me and said, well, Erica, what do you think you want to write about? I paused for a second and thought about it. And I said, Dad, I think I'd like to write a book for children about prayer. And the reason for that is, I grew up in the church, having been raised with a very strong spiritual foundation. I was introduced to the concepts of prayer at a very early age. And so I wanted to write a book from my point of view as a kid, inspiring other children to establish a personal relationship with God. And to adopt, prayer into their daily lives. So that's really the genesis of how I got started.
Very cool. Very cool. And now, years later, and now coming up in August, you have another book that's getting ready to be released, Poised for Greatness. Can you give us a little sneak peek on what that is going to be about? Are you excited about it? What are you excited about?
I am so excited. Why? It's because this is my first book in over 20 years. I haven't formally published anything since 9 years old, and I'm now going on 34. So it's been a long time. It took a while for me to really get my inspiration again. And Poised for Greatness is a life skills and leadership guide for girls and young women. I realized, over the years, I've garnered so many takeaways, so many lessons, right? And just words of wisdom that have been poured into me by others, and wanted to package all of that in a digestible manner for other young women who are really searching for their purpose, who really need to just get the inspiration to unlock what all lies in store for them and to unleash that greatness that lies within us all. So that's Poised for Greatness, folks.
Love it. I love that. And I think I said to you when you and I were communicating at first, I wish I had that when I was younger, that kind of story to kind of dive into, because I think now in this generation of girls growing up, it's so incredibly important to kind of have those kinds of resources for them to be able to tap into.
Yeah, it's so incredibly important. And when I was, a teen and kind of going through, my journey as a young adult, I can't recall a book of this type that was packaged in a, reader-friendly guide that, packaged all of these great takeaways. I think are just really important for us to really instill during our formative years: the importance of balance, the importance of having faith, particularly in the face of adversity, right? How to, continue on despite life's challenges. How to recognize, your purpose. And once you recognize it, how do you get the confidence and the voice to really contribute to society and share your gifts and talents in a meaningful way? So that's what this book is all about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, you've been a youth advocate and have worn that hat for so many years. Among your many hats, what is kind of the biggest thing that you have learned throughout this? You've been doing this for 20 years now.
For me, it's really recognizing that this work is really about a collective effort. It's bigger than any one person. I think we all have something to contribute to our world. We all can be the quote unquote change we wish to see, in the words of Mahatma Gandhi. And it's inspiring people to really look into themselves and figure out what lights a fire inside, right? That's what keeps you going, right? That's where the conversation happens, right? How do you show up in this world? And that's what I've learned. I've learned that our young people are just plagued with so many challenges, particularly in the youth development space. We need our young people poured into like never before. And we need a village. We need a village of folks who are passionate about this work and who are willing to, join forces to make a difference.
When I was doing my research on you, something that I stumbled upon was ECRA, an incredible mission through creativity, confidence, civic responsibility, and support. Can you share about ECRA and what it is that you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. Danielle, ECRA Growth and Educational Services is my youth empowerment organization that was established when I was 9, because when I started my work as an author, I realized it's more than just about a book. We need to have, a series of services to help invest in our young people. An outgrowth of that initiative was the birth of ECRA Growth and Educational Services. And we offer a menu of educational programs to empower our youth. So our latest initiative is the ECRA Growth and Educational Services Youth Entrepreneurship Academy, helping young people understand sort of the concepts of how to go about starting a business and how do you monetize your gifts and your services, right? And thrive as an entrepreneur. So that's one of our initiatives. We also have a national youth literacy campaign that I've started to really make reading cool again amongst our young readers, because you don't really see a lot of bookstores anymore. When I was growing up, almost every corner was a bookstore. And now we're in this digital era where so many of our young people are just heavily, almost to the point of obsession, engrossed in social media, and they're not going outside and exercising. They're not, socializing and getting those social skills with others. And so how do we address these issues in a way that's impactful? So that's really what ECRA is all about. That's our mission.
That hit home for me, because personally I have to read like an actual physical book. I can't do it on my phone per se. I'm not one of those people. I love cracking open a good book and just sitting there and reading it within my hands and not on my cell phone. I guess it makes me old-fashioned in a way these days, just because everybody is reading it through apps and other things like that. So that hit home for me. through all of your journey with all of this, are there key issues that you have seen that you're like, we need to fight this head on, or this can be helped in certain ways?
Yeah, sure. Right now it's educational inequality.
Okay.
I used to work for a nonprofit that the mission was all about, how do we address some of these systemic issues in under-resourced, low-income communities in our nation's capital.
Yeah.
And I realized that a lot of these issues are even more pronounced because we're in this, well, now we're kind of shifting into a post-pandemic era, but not really, because we have the Delta variant of the virus. But, when you think about children who were suffering from the academic achievement gap, right? And now they're at home because we're sheltering in place. A lot of schools have not fully reopened yet. And maybe they're in a home where the parent or the guardian does not have the academic skills to provide that academic enrichment support, right? What do we do in those scenarios? So I've been trying to just make my part of the difference, right? With these skill building workshops. I've led life skills and leadership skills training. I'm all about partnerships with nonprofit organizations that have direct connections to youth. And so I'm really looking at this from a community-based lens, because that's where we have to be. I think, it's great to have, the philosophical, thoughts about these issues, but we need boots on the ground. We need change agents. That's where we are with this.
And I think I have so many teacher friends, and it's very interesting to hear from them just in terms through this whole COVID pandemic, what it has been like. Because I have some friends who are teaching in very underprivileged areas, so it's always very interesting to hear what issues they're running into. Have you heard stories through all of this kind of where that generation is suffering right now?
Yeah, I've heard stories, the anecdotal stories, but I've also heard from the nonprofit service providers. We're dealing with severe budget cutbacks to these sort of social service oriented initiatives. It's a very, very fragmented landscape, which to me really underscores the need for greater community level investment. I think our youth are, for the most part, depending on the community and depending on their level of support, immediate support, may feel distressed by their circumstances, a sense of hopelessness, right? And so, how do we invest in our young people that may not come from, privileged backgrounds? And when I say privilege, I don't mean just in terms of money and wealth. I mean just in terms of level of care. Right?
Yeah.
We have someone in their life that cares about them and their development, right? That's connecting them to the resources to really nurture their gifts and their talents and their highest potential.
I think that's so true, because I think when we hear privilege and underprivileged, we have two very specific images we have in our mind, but it is very different, because they could be going to a privileged school, but at the same time be coming home to a very underprivileged home in a way. I think breaking those two images down is super important for us to have in our minds now.
Yeah, I really enjoy helping young people recognize their value, and I like more opportunities to do that.
Yes, absolutely. Now, coming out of COVID, we're interacting a little bit more out in public with people again. You have some speaking that you have done. Do you have any speaking coming up? Do you have plans to do more speaking here soon?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to, let me just, kind of a soft push, would love to be invited to speak to your youth. I was just telling my publicist, I'm thinking about how do I get back out there in this quote unquote post-pandemic era safely. A lot of my events have been virtual, understandably so, given just, the climate. But I'm getting ready to plan for an author talk to talk about my upcoming book, Voice for Greatness. And so if anyone's listening out there, would love for you to tune in. The event date will be released forthcoming, but yeah, any opportunity to speak and to inspire and empower our youth, I'm there.
Awesome. Do you love speaking in front of people? I know some people who do like in-person speaking and they're like, I get so nervous, I black out. And some people are like, no, I'm totally comfortable. I absolutely love it. Which one do you kind of fall into?
I will quickly say that I kind of fell into public speaking when I wrote my book at the age of 9. My father started getting a lot of inquiries from churches and organizations wanting me to come and speak and talk about my book. And, you know, when I was inspired to write my book at the age of 9, I didn't realize that public speaking would be part of that work, right? Because I was a kid, I was like, I want to write a book. But I didn't really understand in the moment what I was really committing myself to. And so, you know, I've been doing public speaking for a while. You know, I think what is the term or the saying? Just the repetition, time on task makes you more confident. I used to be a part of Toastmasters, which is a national organization to help people become competent communicators. I majored in communications at the undergraduate level at Howard University. So I've had a number of formative experiences to get me comfortable. But to answer your question, I'm really kind of like an introvert. Like I'm an introvert with extrovert tendencies, if that makes sense.
Got it.
It may not make a lot of sense, but
no, that's I describe myself as I'm an extroverted introvert. I am truly like an introvert, but like when I know people, when I'm in social experiences, when I'm comfortable, I'm very extroverted, but most of the time I'm like, I'm quiet. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna sit here and
I'm like so shy. You know, it takes a lot out of you, you know, interacting with people. I love it. But then when I have these, you know, opportunities to speak and be amongst people, I immediately want to go into seclusion thereafter just to kind of get rejuvenated, right?
It's the social battery, I call it. It starts to dampen a little bit. We got to recharge and we got to just kind of be with ourselves a little bit, just to get that battery back up to 100.
Yeah, especially life in the pandemic where we were, you know, for the most part, socially isolated from friends and loved ones. And so now we're at this point where we're starting to slowly get re-socialized, which I think is exciting as long as we do it safely.
Yes. I'm very excited to kind of get back out. My full-time job, I'm ready to be back out in events in a certain way to just be able to interact with people again after not being able to do it for such a long period of time. Your upcoming book, where can people find it? What's the easiest way to kind of get their hands on it?
Absolutely. So my website is ericaustin.com. If you remember my name, you may find it to be pretty easy. I also publish monthly blogs. So if you want daily inspiration delivered right to your inbox, feel free to subscribe. We'd love for you to join the conversation. I'm getting ready to launch a pre-order website for Poise for Greatness specifically in the coming days. So look out for that within the next week. But my first book, What Every Child Should Know About Prayer, also is available on the market. So you can purchase that from my website or wherever else you buy books.
In a bookstore, hopefully people can actually go and get their hands on it, not just read it on their phone.
Amazon, if you just want to do it from the comfort of your couch.
I love that.
Thank you for your support.
Yes, absolutely. The last question I would love to ask you, and what I ask everybody, is just what inspires you?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm taking a pause because that's such a profound question. What inspires me? What inspires me is just seeing life outside of myself, seeing a cause bigger than me. With the time that I have on this earth, and no one knows the day or the hour. None of us do. Wanting to make my part in the difference. And that keeps me going. That's what lights a fire inside on the days I want to give up, the days I'm faced with challenges. It's, how do I deliver meaning and impact? How do I deliver value in a way that improves the lives of others?
Yeah.
So that keeps me going.
Love that. That you got to keep that fire going. You got to keep the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I love that so much. And Erica, many thanks for coming on and speaking to us today. I am going to have all of Erica's socials linked down below, her website as well, so you guys can go check out all of Erica's stuff. But Erica, thank you. And
thank you, Danielle, for the opportunity to share. This is exciting. I love your podcast.
Thank you. I cannot wait to read your new book coming out here in August. I'm so excited. And you guys, thank you guys for stopping by, and I will see you guys back here next time. Bye, y'all.